Good evening. This is the Rowley Finance Committee meeting, March 25th, 2014, at 7:19. Call the meeting to order, and since it's 7:15, our first appointment is Highway Surveyor Ron Keefe. Okay, Ron, you have any opening comments or
No,
anything?
except for we're just going to keep the budget the same next year. I have no comment.
Okay. Has everyone looked at the budget? Let's take the Highway Department budget first. I had a question on Form 2. The total is $156,996. But on Form 1, you have $156,929. I take it that is the 996 number the correct one?
996 is with total for overtime and standby. Is that what you're looking at?
Yes.
So what was the first number was?
First number is 156,929.
Missing that page. Missing that page.
It's right.
The first page.
The first page, wages under
Under
fiscal
wages.
15 request.
156,929.
Yeah.
156,929.
But
$67.
on the second page,
Unless there was a typo there, that'd be my.
Yeah,
156,929.
it's $67.
I've got over here 156,996.
Yeah, my only guess would be a typo, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'd go with the typo as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so it should be the 996.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. And then the expenses on Form 3, 114,926.
Yep.
And then on Form 1, you have 115,601. I guess it's just that Form wasn't revised or so, I guess.
I guess.
I'd go with the lower number on that one.
Okay.
Except for the wages, because that was increased because of the union contract. We're keeping everything status quo from last year.
Right.
But I want to make a recommendation that we start looking towards the future at slowly increasing that, because back when these budgets were made, diesel was $1.50 a gallon, not $4 a gallon.
Right.
Obviously, fuel, inflex, tires, hot top, just everything we do is is evolved around oil. And I'm willing to bet if you look at other town budgets, we probably function, barely function, I do mean barely, at the smallest amount. We are busting at the seams just trying to make what we do with that number. But we understand what Triton's asking for in schools, and we're willing to go back. I mean, I said during the selectmen's meeting, we're even shutting lights off that we don't use, and even only turning on half the lights, lowering the heat, keeping the miles down on the trucks. We're doing everything we can.
Right.
And if you came to me 3-4 years down the road, we would not be functioning. We'd have to close the doors in the shop and just close it down. We can barely function at the 114,926. Can we do it one more year? Yeah. But we're also running at the smallest man crew around. Smallest man crew.
Right. I mean, there comes a point where you're just going to have to increase it.
Either increase it or just lay us all off and shut the doors, because that's what it's barely coming down to.
Right.
We have more trucks than we do men now at this point. And that's sad to say. I mean, fire trucks don't move unless we plow the streets. Police won't come to your house unless we do it. School, kids don't get to school unless we plow the streets. And every time people go to vote for schools, they forget the one thing that's important: how the kids get to school, how the fire trucks get to the house, how the police escort their kids or, patrol the streets to keep the kids safe. They forget about the one thing, and the highway department's always overlooked. Why? Because, well, the highway department doesn't make the town money. We keep you safe, but we're actually a hole, and they always forget about us. We are barely functioning at that amount. I mean, I have the guys working in the shop that's 50 degrees. Usually we have the heat up to 65, 70. I have to turn the heat down to 50. I mean, it's sad.
Yeah, it is.
It is. You've come down my shop, you've asked to see the things we've purchased, and I've literally brought you around and showed you. We haven't cut any corners, we've cut everything above board. I asked Pat to be here because of, after the loss of Scott, the one thing I found out is to keep the foreman involved in all daily operations, because if something ever happened to me, Pat could pick up. But
Right.
I keep him involved in all operations, but we're hurting down there. We really are. We got a roof that leaks. It's not good. It's not good. And the one thing that isn't shown on here, and it hasn't been brought up, and I brought up the selectmen's meeting, is down the road, and I brought up to Deb's fully aware of it, is when the Storm Water Act comes in. Our normal catch basins that cost $4,500 to $4,900 a year will jump to $20,000 a year, which is an unfunded mandate. When the Storm Water Act kicks in, this town, in many towns, will be hurting. It's unfunded. And there's nothing the town can do about it. Just the town building alone, the highway garage, to bring it up to code, roughly, after all the classes I've been through with Brent and everything, will cost roughly $400,000 to $450,000 to bring the building up to code. That's something we really have to start looking at down the road.
Yeah, it's you can't really postpone it. You can't stick our heads in the sand. And
No, we can
Say it
start the
doesn't
procedure,
exist.
at least show the Environmental Protection Agency that we are starting procedures. We are, and Brent has done a phenomenal job doing all that, and Debbie, starting that footwork. So, I mean, but it is coming, and it will be hurting. That's something that, it's unfunded.
right.
The federal government just, it's pushing its way on us. Nope. You can't help it.
You got a comment, Dave?
Yeah, this is one of those budgets that, we've got a number of budgets. You're gonna see a few as you go through them that we've started to look at what some of the necessary increases are. The highway will more or less being held this year. We'll be getting a new election for a highway surveyor and so on and so forth. So we're making do really with this particular department. A few years back, when they had a retirement, we never filled that retirement position. So they went from highway surveyor and 4 workers down to a highway surveyor and 3 workers. With the death of Scott Levitt, Ron was appointed temporary interim highway surveyor. So they went from 5 to 4 to basically it's Ron plus 2 full-time workers, and we filled some of the voids with part-time help. So it's as the number of roads has increased and subdivisions have been accepted, and you get winters like we've had this winter, it really puts the pressure on these guys to perform. And we as a Board of Selectmen feel they've done an outstanding job in doing so much with so little. And I think this is one of those budgets that in the next year, like Ron says, the federal mandated stormwater management systems and things like that, all these things are coming down the pike. And nobody wants to give us any money for them, but they expect us to comply with the laws. So a lot of this stuff is gonna come into play in the next couple of years. And you're gonna see this in a number of budgets. In some budgets, we've done some increases this year, and our goal is, and along with the capital planning article we have, is to start looking seriously at probably some hefty increases. And one of the things we're looking at is obviously a fire station and a police station, gonna be huge amounts of money, so. We've been holding the line so well for so long that it's catching up to us. And we're gonna have to make some tough decisions in the next few years in terms of budget increases and things like that, so these guys have done a
Yeah,
fantastic
because
job.
somewhere along
with
the
what
line,
they've
we're
got
gonna
to
pay
do.
for it either in, if we don't give like the highway department money for the roads and stuff like that, then we're just gonna have, deteriorating roads, potholes all over the place and, everything else with it, so it's, pay me now or pay me
Yeah, it's just a
later.
matter of what budgets we can, this year we're hopefully doing a couple of things with a couple of different departments. The Highway department, but next year will be hopefully on the mend to get some stuff. I mean, we can't do it all at once, and we parcel out our nickels and dimes as tightly as we can, but, I just do want to say that these guys have done, in the last 2 or 3 years, when Scott was here, and since he hasn't been here, an unbelievable job with what little funding we give them, and it's just, the roads around town are in pretty good shape. The snow was well handled. The potholes are minimal compared, I just came through Georgetown, coming in here.
Great job in maintaining the roads and all, I mean, it's,
But I give the board my word that on that 114,926, we can function for one more year. That, that involves that whoever wins the highway surveyor has to understand that they need 40 hours a week to be out. If they're not doing paperwork, they need to be out as that optional guy, and that's what Scott did. And that's why he was able to keep the budget low for all those years, as well as myself. I've been out patching holes with the guys. You need to be a member of the crew, working with the crew when you're not doing what's required
Right.
of the highway surveyor. That's what Scott did, that's what I did, and I hope that's what the next highway surveyor does do. We can't function under that budget. Pat and I have been working hard at keeping, like I said, either every other light or all lights off when we're not in the shop, keeping the heat down, keeping the guys, training the guys to understand when we go out and do a job, make sure you have all the tools so you do one trip out. Making sure that when you go out and you pass by something, you know that we're gonna call you on, maybe a day or so, fix it now so we're not calling you, making sure that we do one trip, not coming back. We're adamant about saving money. We're spending the money like it's our own and trying to conserve. And there's nothing else we can do. The snow and ice, we try to cut every corner we could this year, hold them back. We had, you saw it on the news, we had massive salt shortage. So instead of salting what we would normally salt, we ended up scraping, which we had to pay contractors come out. When salt came in, we decreased that, but obviously we paid more for the contractors to come out than we did treating. But we couldn't treat because we didn't have the material. We were fortunate that we had more material than most towns. We kept on keeping the salt shed as full as we could. But sometimes we fell short, and it wasn't because of us. I mean, New York, New Jersey, they were sending trucks down here to pick up salt. The salt yard's paying double what we were paying. And who's the salt company gonna sell to? The guy paying double.
right.
We were able to keep the best streets around. I've heard from many residents that they go from Ipswich. One of the biggest areas is going from Newbury Road into Ipswich. You go from bare pavement to 6 inches of snow. Is that going to have to cut back? The way the past few winters have been, I can't. If I was still highway surveyor in a year, I would say the roads at this rate couldn't be kept up the best they can. It becomes cumbersome. My wife read an article, and she's very physical, so she reads Shape magazine. It said, for those people who have mates who plow, a person who plows 24 hours straight has the average at 2.0 for drunk limit. And I've had my guys out for sometimes 3 days straight. I can't continue to do that, and I can't continue to supply the services we are.
Right.
I've done everything I can. The guys have done up and beyond. I've had my children call me in the middle of the night crying, waiting for daddy to come home. If you haven't heard, And I've said the story a million times, the fire chief and I had to actually relinquish Scott from duty. He wanted to get in the grader and pass away in the grader. We had to relieve him from duty from the blizzard last year. That's just the mentality we have. I love this town, I love the people in it. And Scott left with that same mentality. And it's, we come in every day, clock in, and we go out every day like that. Pat and I have been, and you'll back me up on this, going after tip money. There ain't much money to do roads over anymore. We're going after tip money. We're going after getting on the transportation bill, and hopefully we're on the transportation bill for the west side of 133. Central Street, Pat and I have been working adamantly to get tip money to do that road and to do sidewalks the whole length, and to get a bike lane. Because you have to meet certain criterias, and bike lane and sidewalks would put us into that category. Those two projects alone would be $12 million, $13 million coming in. That isn't coming out of taxpayer dollars. The only thing we have to pay for is the engineer, which is coming out of Chapter 90. But on top of that, we have Christopher Newberry Road that we still have to pave in the next coming years, and drainage.
Right.
So we're potentially looking at $12 or $13 million that Pat and I have been looking at that will not come out of the taxpayers' actual, not increasing their taxes.
Okay. I think everybody appreciates your work that you've been doing, and it's rough for everybody. So let's see, I have an adjusted total of $342,085.
On the snow and ice?
Well, for the total.
Yep. That could change.
No.
No,
He's
talking
talking
about-
For the
For the budget, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any other discussion?
What was your total?
$342,085. That's with the wages at $156,996 and expenses $114,926.
Apologize for that.
6 plus 6 is 2.
If that's the case, no more discussion. Can I have a motion to accept the highway department.
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion,
A second.
seconded. All, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Let's move on to tree warden.
See, there's no increase. I'll make a motion that we accept tree wardens.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
A second. You can have it, Karen.
Any other discussion? No discussion? All in favor? Aye.
I'd just
Yeah.
like to, if I had an opportunity, to say thank you to the light department for keeping that budget low, because if it wasn't for them, that would actually increase. They go out and trim low branches and whatnot for us with their trucks. If it wasn't for them, that price would probably at this point be almost double.
Mm,
But whenever we need them, they're there to trim branches.
Okay.
Line limbs. So I'd like to say thank the light department for that.
Okay. Town land maintenance. It's gone from, well, it's level at 3,500. The 4185 that the difference is, is that added somewhere, for that?
So there's a note at the bottom, Larry.
Well, yeah, it says that the highway department started mowing the town common, which will result in a reduction of this line.
So they're just continuing the same as last year.
Right.
No change.
Means they're not contracting it out.
Right, we're not paying we used to pay bid it out and the private contractor would come in and do all the mowing, the town common and those little commons. Now the highway department's doing it. And as a result, they're doing it within their budget, which is another benefit.
Okay,
to
so
them.
that
And it reduced this budget by,
4,100 difference is the, we'll say the contracted versus you people who are doing it somehow. Okay.
Well, last year, wasn't there articles or wasn't part of the budget to buy lawn mowing equipment?
We did,
Right.
yes, we did.
So that's part of the long-term savings.
plus they also hire summer help within their wage account.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're actually also working on a, Scott always did a town common, adopt a town common. Well, it was minimal and only kept the small islands through town, like Boxford and 133. There've been contractors that have approached us and asked us to adopt bigger commons. The only one we will not potentially, actually we won't ever, is the 9/11 Memorial. We find that to be kind of sacred, and we don't want to put that out for adoption.
We wouldn't want to put the main common up for adoption either, would we?
Chickadee Farm is asked to maintain that, and well, I've thought about it, I haven't given them.
I'd hate
Yes
to
and
see,
no.
I'd hate to see a sign out there.
No, I agree with you, because it's a big advertising spot. But the VFW has asked to take over the common again, that's at Bradford and 133. They've maintained that for years.
Yeah.
And if I can get a few more companies to adopt smaller islands through town, we potentially could save, a couple more $1,000 on top of this budget. The state does it statewide, but a couple islands in town, like you said, the main common would be, you got the Boy Scouts, you got the Girl Scouts there, you got the farmers market. It could be questionable.
Right.
Well,
But-
the main comment also is under the direction of the Board of Selectmen. so
Right.
Nothing's gonna happen with that
Yeah.
unless the Board of Selectmen go along with it. So we're not anticipating,
But the little islands
Sure,
around
yeah,
town.
Yeah, that,
you know,
that I think it's good.
You can add Weathersfield and Long Hill to your list. That could be some sprucing up.
well, it's funny, because in the old days, a property owner that lived on one of those corners would take care of the island in front of their property. Today, those same homeowners call and complain when the grass is too low.
Right.
Actually-
So it's kind of like the whole,
I'm not complaining.
no, but everything
No,
everything has changed in terms of what used to happen versus what happens now.
I don't blame you. Long Hill and Weathersfield is that island takes a beating from Georgetown
Yeah.
turning around with the plow trucks and then us turning around. It takes a beating.
Yep.
Okay, any other comments?
Do we have to do this? Oh, okay.
Well, we
on
didn't
this
vote
one?
this one, did we?
No, we have to vote on
I'll make the
this.
motion.
Okay, have a motion, have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Now we got
Okay.
Snow and ice.
On this one here, just quickly, the Board of Selectmen voted to increase it by $20,000 to $100,000. I don't know what the current overexpenditure is, Ron may have a better idea, but traditionally, it's always been underfunded. Years ago, for dozens of years, we had 40,000, then we raised it. But the goal here is probably, if we have funding, the next few years is to try and increase it by $20,000 a year and get it up to at least 160 to somewhere closer to 200,000.
Right.
Because if by chance we don't spend it, that money goes back into free cash anyway. So but all we're doing is, by not properly funding it, all we're doing is robbing next year's money to pay for this year's snow removal. So that's why that's gone up by 25% to $100,000 this year.
And currently, this year, we're without any bills coming in as of right now that we don't know of. We're at 330.
I'll make the motion for the snow and ice.
Okay, have a motion, have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Snow and ice passed. Okay, Ron, Pat, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate your work.
Thank you.
Hope you don't have to work tomorrow.
Have a good trip.
That's only
Pat.
if you win the Super Bowl, okay? All right. Next on the list is a little late. We have our Fire Chief, James Broderick, to discuss the fire department budget.
Hello,
Good evening, Chief.
how's it going?
Oh, pretty good.
That's good. All the wages lines reflect the 2.5% increase for all positions. For the fire chief, it went from 80,592 to 82,379 request. Firefighter wages, which is for the 2 full-time firefighters or captains, and this includes their overtime, went from 144 to 368, 144,368 to 150,214. The increase on their overtime was increased a little bit because not only because of the pay raises that we're planning for, but because the way we've done our EMT training in the past is we would have 2 classes, one in the daytime and one at the evening, to try to maximize people getting to training. With the new EMT program, we won't be able to have that flexibility anymore. So we'll be doing away with the daytime class, which is what the full-time guys went to. I'm going to have to start sending them at night, and we'll have to be paying overtime.
Right.
So it reflects the extra money in the overtime account to cover the cost that I'm attending the EMT training. I was trying to avoid doing it, but there was just the way our vendor is going to be able to give the training, I have to be able to do it at night.
Right.
They can't afford to be sending an instructor up twice a day, twice to do the same class. So we're going to have to. They got to tighten their belt. We got to loosen ours, I guess, a little
Right.
bit. But that's why the extra money in the overtime it is more than what would have been for the 2.5% increase in the wages. The call firefighters went up marginally, again for the wage increase, from $81,200 to $83,027, which brings the entire request for wages to $315,620, up from $306,160 that was appropriated last year, or this fiscal year. Expenses have been level funded to $119,993. The station equipment lease, and that's for the rent of the station from the fire association, and what equipment that the association still owns is again at $20,000. That would be for the forestry payment and the building and engine 4, and there's a couple loose pieces of equipment that the association still owns that we use. Which brings the expense total to $139,993 for a grand total of $455,613 for the entire operation.
Okay. I noticed in the in your expenses that there's no increase for fuel or for
No, we've been
utilities.
the utility and the fuel. We've been living within what we were given, the additional $3,000 that was given to us a couple of years ago. We've been living within those parameters, that there's no need to ask for that increase, short of diesel fuel going up to $7 a gallon. We're doing okay, so there was no need to ask for additional money for fuel.
Okay.
I feel confident that we should be okay for next year.
Good.
We're running lean and mean over there. So and utility bills too they've been consistent throughout the year. So there was no need to ask for an increase in utility money. So
Right.
we're doing pretty good there too.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on the budget? Just out of curiosity, what is Red Base?
Red Base is Red Base is the telephone number that was predominantly used before 911 came in, and that's 978-948-3311. And it was a system that before the dispatch center is what it is today. There was a series of phones that went around to the different fire department members, usually the fire chief, the assistant chiefs, I guess a couple of captains, would have what was a red telephone in their house. And the person would call, and then they would pick it up, and this is reporting a fire, and they would give the address. It's a phone that you can dial into, but you can't dial out on. And that's how fires were reported What it's used for now is if there's a central receiving station or a direct dialer for a fire alarm, that number will be rung by the, I'll use ADT as an example because everybody sees the commercials for it. But if they had an account in town for a fire alarm, they would call that number because if they dialed 911, they would get the 911 center close to where the call center is,
Right.
which could be out in Chicago, could be in Los Angeles, could be anywhere in the country, could even be overseas. If they need that number to be able to call the fire alarm in, so that's what the red base is. And it's a telephone line, and it's $15.94 a month for Verizon. And also, what I pay for out of that account is the electricity for the radio tower up at the top of the hill. There's a little building in there that has the police department, fire department, and the highway and the light department's repeaters are in there.
Right,
And so I pay for the electricity to run everything up there.
okay.
And that's a short history of what the red base is.
Okay,
And if there's only one phone left with a red phone that's down at the fire station. If you want to see it, I'll be more than happy to.
shades of the Cold War.
Yeah, and the police number was a blue phone. It was like a blue line, and it worked
Yeah.
for back in the day.
Right. Okay, any other questions? Have a motion to,
Like, we
Yes?
just, but maybe I'm missing something. I was just looking, how does the salary for the firefighter wage go to 140? I'm looking at the wages of 54,121 each.
Yes, and there's
So how does-
overtime.
And so where's the overtime written on here?
It's on the overtime calculation on page Form 2,
From two.
and it went from 33,672 to 37,772.
Oh, down the bottom, I see it
Down the
now.
bottom.
Okay, I see it, okay. We just lumped it all in one, okay.
okay,
So, that's the only question I have.
all right. Could I have a motion then to accept the fire department budget?
I'll make a motion to approve the fire department.
Okay, Janet, second?
I'll
Any-
second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
Okay, you abstain?
Larry, just a follow-up from the Board of Selectmen point of view, if there's an attachment on firefighter staffing to that budget, which is not reflected anything in this year's budget, but the chief is outlining future needs. And this is another one of those budgets we're anticipating sometime in the next 2 or 3 years due to lack of call firefighters and availability, that we may have to look at some increased full-time staffing. So just, it's something to read over and be aware of as we move forward in the next year.
Okay.
Selectmen are gonna be sitting down sometime in the next year with the chief and kind of taking a look at this and coming up with some options that we can look at for staffing. So
Right.
Just an awareness for the committee.
That, and it explains the apparatus status too. It's just that there's always things looming on the horizon. It's nothing that we're acting on per se other than the ladder truck, but the rest of the fleet. It's just an update to where we're sitting, and we'll have some other apparatus needing replacement soon.
Right.
So nothing right now, but within the next couple of years, we'll be asking.
I'm sorry, if they're increasing the staff, won't that in theory cut down a little bit on the overtime? You're paying almost 3/4 of the salary for the overtime for the two
Not
people
necessarily. It depends on how we set up the staffing.
now.
We still have from 8 to 4 staffing, and what I'm looking for is to add Saturday and Sunday to 8 to 4, so we'd be 7 days a week. We'd have people in the station 8 hours. We still have the issue after hours that have to be dealt with, and to fully, if we're looking at the really adding extra people, the 33,000 is not even going to be, it's not going to change much because there's still training that has to be done. They still have to have positions that have to be backfilled, and then the full-timers will be given a preference over the call guys to fill in a shift. So I can't tell you how it's going to affect overtime at this point, because I don't know how many people we're looking at hiring right now, and I don't know how it's going to affect. It may increase overtime, it may decrease. I don't know right now. I'm not prepared to tell you for certain what's going to happen with the overtime. It all depends on how we end up staffing and how many people we end up putting on. And we also have to look at, there's 3 of us that are be coming toward retirement age soon, so we'll be replacing people also. We're all getting gray.
Yeah, this is one of those budgets, I think, in terms of personnel costs, it's only gonna go up. No matter how we divide the pie up, it's only gonna increase. And the only thing that's keeping it down low now is the ability of the call firefighters to be available. And as they become less and less available, it's gonna cost us.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. We appreciate you coming by, and also a personal note, I appreciate the firsthand witnessing, your people at work on 112 Central Street and keeping my house from
I will
going
tell
up.
them all. I was at my son's graduation at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri when that came in, and I wish, well, being as hot as it was that day, I'm glad I wasn't there. But yeah, they did considering the amount of fire they had when they first got there, they did a really good job. And
That, protecting, the other houses, and because of some of the material inside
yes,
was not the best of conditions to
Right.
fight a fire.
and we only had 3 guys on the first truck, and other than me, they're the 3 oldest guys on the department. So they did a real good job.
Yes,
and,
we appreciate it.
I'll let them know.
Thank you.
All right, have a good night.
Coming home from work and seeing an Aintree fire truck and a Newburyport fire truck at our station was
Yeah,
quite a shock,
you don't
too.
see that every day. Have a good night.
Thank you. Okay, next up is the cemetery board.
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening.
Come on, Jack.
Chairman of the cemetery.
And we're here to discuss your budget, and specifically going up to the 20,000 request
On the
I've-
Fun.
revolving.
on a revolving fund. And,
The cemetery budget, Larry, is in the package.
Yes.
Somewhere down, probably towards the bottom, but the appointment was definitely to address the revolving fund
right.
cap that needs to be raised.
Is everybody aware of the raising of the cap or the request?
Well, I can just
Okay.
back up
Why don't
what we're performing out there. We're getting to be a bigger department, and we used to keep the bodies during the winter in what they call the tomb, our office building. And we did away with that, and for the last 3 years, we've been burying in the wintertime. And we have what you call a winter rate. During the week, it's $600, and in the weekend, it's $950 for a regular burial. Now, this money comes into the town, goes into the revolving account, and this past month, up to date, in fact, we've got one for Thursday, we've turned in a little over 3,000. So the town get 1,500 out of that, and we get the other 15. We started back when Mr. Demento was here about, I want to say 6 to 8 years ago. We started with $5,000 in there. We wasn't doing winter burials. They're costly to do. We feel that we should be, performing our duties and doing them year round.
Sure.
It's been a tough winter this year out there with the snow, digging, and fortunately we got everything done. And then we raised it three years ago to 10,000. Right now we've used about 98 $3,800 for the winter burials. This is from the period of November to current. And we'd like to raise it to 20. To use up to 20. What the thing it is, it's not a tax. It doesn't hit the taxpayer. It helps us. Now, we do have around $8,800 left in our wage account, but you gotta realize we got spring coming, we have to do mowing. That's an extra job that we do.
Right.
And we haven't, we're probably the lowest run budget for what you see out there, what we do. I've been there 37 years this May. You know, I'm running for another 3. I don't know why I'm running again, but 72 years old. Kind of getting weeded out a little bit, but you know, I really got a good board, good working board. You know,
Right.
I've had health issues, but I'm still kicking out there.
You'll have to go back and do a little filling in on the graves you did all winter too.
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
going to get to that.
Yeah.
A lot of them we filled in because some days right after a snowstorm we buried with it. We dug, got a snowstorm. You get the ice, you get the dirt, it freezes.
Right.
You can't level them. Right now I think we got 11 out there. We'll have 12 after Thursday, and
And the hearse is out tonight.
not speaking. I just see them backing in. I just don't want to
Yeah.
hear a phone call.
Yeah.
I mean, we never, you know, it's a hard department to figure on how many burials you have. You know, like I'm on
Right.
the Board of Selectmen. Selectman Chairman Snow asked me a couple occasions, well, how many do you think? I said, well, I can't predict how many people are going to die. You know, it's, well, you know, when they
Right.
do, we got to perform our duties out there, you know.
Yeah, basically to back up what Jack's saying is, in other words, this is a revolving fund that's filled from people who passed away and buying lots and so on and so forth. And by raising this to 20,000, we're actually, the amount of money they're raising, it allows us not to raise the tax money to add to the cemetery budget. So it's just a way of paying for expenses that are incurring without raising money off the tax rate.
Right.
This is another one of those departments that's been run so lean over the years that when you get to their budget, you're going to see some increases. We just can't make do with what we've done in the past, and this is one of those areas that this here helps a big part, and that's why the Board of Selectmen and we're recommending it go from a $10,000 revolving fund to $20,000, and it doesn't hit the tax rate. It just keeps us from raising the tax part of the cemetery budget by a larger increase than what we're already doing.
Being able to bury in the winter is a big help, because if you have to have the funeral and then go back several months later to do the burial, it's like doing it all over again.
Same
It's
thing
very
again,
painful.
right, Sharon? Yeah, I mean, it's,
Yeah,
And
it's
it-
huge for the families.
yeah, and that's
Yeah.
what I mean, it's real big. I mean, we've
Yeah.
had more people, oh, geez, can we get this dug? We'll get it dug. You know, years back, we
Yeah.
just set December 1, and, you know, we use the
Yeah, it's,
town, the highway department, they get a new machine. One of my commissioners, Mr. Dalzell, is a great operator. He does basically the digging, you know. Mr. Gainer's retired, he worked for the Archdiocese out of Lynn and in the cemetery. We're real fortunate to have Bill running around. He does a lot of leg work. He'd have been here tonight, but he's away.
Sure.
And he knows his stuff. He's got 40 years in. So, I mean, he knows what it's about out there, too. He couldn't understand when I got him to run. What do you pay this part-time or what? You know, I mean, I'm embarrassed to tell the board that we don't have heat over there. We have our meetings, we go to the library. We're hoping to put you know, I'm a cheap guy. I bring them quartz heaters in. We have a light bulb up there. We plug 2 of them in the light, you don't know what's going to blow, or you know, we don't have heat over there either. I mean,
Well, just before you get to it, we have put money in the capital
Yeah.
expenditure account to correct some of the
Right.
deficiencies over there, so that's
Yeah,
at a
that,
different point, that'll come up. but
Right, Dave.
We're recommending that, but yeah,
Yeah.
they run lean and means, don't they?
yeah.
Like everything else.
And if I really don't have figures, but I could calculate them within a week, sit down. We cost the town taxpayer at the most $12,000 a year to run that operation out there. Is that cheap? I think it is.
That's good operation.
No, I mean, as far as money, I mean, we're not out there looking, we put in for a tractor to help us. We don't have nothing, we got a town truck that former surveyor before Scott Levitt was here. Bob Purley bought a tree truck, and we got it over there now. It's an 80, I think it's an 84. Scott says you guys can drive it over there and run, take it. So we use it, it's good for helping us when we dig a grave. We put the dirt in the next day, we can dump it in, it saves time and that. But that's why I'm in here, to ask support of the
Okay.
Finance Committee to help us out on that.
Anybody?
I'll make a motion that we accept this.
Before you do that, is there any other questions or so? No? Okay, no.
But isn't this gonna be a warrant? Do we vote on it now, or do we vote on it when?
This is for this fiscal year.
Yeah.
They've spent, I believe, I don't know, they're 9,784. They're capped at 10,000. So
Right.
they have 15,500 in their account, and they can't, they're trapped right now. So this will alleviate the situation this fiscal year, and then in the annual town meeting warrant, you'll see the cap at 20.
Okay.
Yeah, the procedure here is that in order for them to increase the cap, the selectmen have to vote on it and the finance committee. So this will be an immediate increase in the cap from $10,000 to $20,000.
We were at the board last night. While I was on the board, I stepped out. So we got the approval from the Board of Selectmen, and myself and Mr. Dalzell voted with them to get it. Because right now, like Deborah said, we get $15,512.16 that's available, end of balance. But currently, right now, we got $9,783.72, so we only get, a little less than 200. And we still could have another month of bad weather out there. And like Mr. Peterson said, this cap helps us, that we don't have to go and ask you people to raise our wage account, another 6 or 8. And it would be a tax item for the people to put on the tax rate. This here is money we earned for the town, so we turn in quite a bit of money. Now, this is not just the digging either. We do a lot of putting in markers, headstones, and we probably take in, I think last year, around $4,000 in that account too. And 50% of that goes, so if we turn 4 in on that, 2 would go to the town, 2 goes into the revolving account.
Right.
So we're making money for the town. I just hate saying that, to bury people to make money.
Right.
But we have to perform the duties to do it.
Not a good way to make money. Okay, I have a motion from Sharon. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second from Janet. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. passed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, Jack.
Larry, if you might want to, while Jack is here, further down, there is a cemetery budget that has some increases in it. It's not zero funded. It's probably 3/4 of the way
Yeah.
down in your packets.
It's towards the end where most of the public works oriented departments are. Right before recycling, after animal control.
Oh, yeah. Okay, recycling.
Is that the DPW with the capital? I don't have a copy, I just have.
You have cemetery budget? Yeah, take this.
Okay. Thank you.
Basically, just to get the thing rolling, the selectmen were approached by Bill to increase the wages to 20,000 and the expenses from 2602 to 5,000, and ignore the increase there that says 0%, because that's obviously not correct. And it's basically, like Jack's already said, all the costs are increasing. They put in more hours, the winter burials, the numbers of people that are making use of the cemetery, literally. It's just increased costs, and they've been getting by with next to nothing. And it was time to give them an increase, and the Board of Selectmen agreed that these increases were warranted and certainly justified in terms of what we get out of the cemetery for what we pay, so.
How many hours is this now? How many hours is it?
It varies, I mean, it depends on.
Well,
how-
we get $20,000 in wages, right?
Yes,
So what is that, like, half, like, maybe 20 hours a week or something, or average-wise, or?
yeah, the biggest fella that does the work is Bill. I put minimal, funeral, we go mark out or whatever. It's when, basically on call. But there is a lot of stuff, like Dave said, we want to go up, increase. We have bicentennial year coming up. We got some stones out there. I mean, we could use it, but we only have one part-time. We're gonna try to fund 2 part-time from probably the 1st of June or the middle of June till October. Mowing and trimming out there. I mean, we're getting really bigger. When I first come on, we were only, probably 50 yards from where the building is, which is, we call Section F. That's all filled up. We got a new section that's over to the right of Richdale, which is a new section, fairly new. We've been working that probably for 20 years, and that's what we call Section G. That's all filled up. Now we have started another new section, and this is hoping to last the town probably 40 to 50 years. We went at it a new way to sell lots. We were selling 5 grave lots out here, and there'd be a lot of people that would be just a husband and wife. They'd buy 5. We were wasting a lot of land. So now we've tightened it up and we sell per lot. And that goes into what we call a sale in lots and graves. Last year we went to town meeting and we took $20,000 out of that. I think there's a balance now of 30 odd. That's another item that don't hit the taxpayer. People come in, buy the lots, we go, and right now we gotta continue, we got the road probably 25% done between G and H. We gotta continue that, and we use that, for material we have to buy over there, and we're gonna, that's money and wages too out of that account. So,
So in 15, you're looking for 25,000 altogether, right?
no, it'll be 20.
But what you-
Well, if you're looking for the,
25,000, that's what I'm, so why is
on the wage salary line,
Why did you say the cap will be set at 20,000?
it's 20.
But that's an off-budget account, Peter, that we just voted
Oh.
on. That's not part of the omnibus budget.
Oh, okay.
It's revolving fund.
Right.
This is part of budget.
This is the actual budget for next year.
This is the actual,
All right.
Are we ready to make a motion? Or has anyone made a motion yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Any other discussion?
And you notice too, under the expense, it's 5,000. Back 12 years ago, our expense was 3,000. As you can see, it went down, we went up a little bit. Well, last year, it's, this current year is 2,600. We're asking for 5. I mean, it's gasoline, running equipment out there, and trimmers, all that stuff. It's right on the border on that stuff. And the
Right.
expense account, you know.
No, it certainly is reasonable, for what you're doing. Okay. You want to make a motion?
To accept the cemetery budget, 25,000.
Okay.
Second.
There's a second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Cemetery budget approved.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Jack.
You got another one? I got one over there. I'll take it.
Okay, let's move on to old items. We need from about 2 meetings ago, there were 2 budgets that weren't, thank you, Jack, that we deferred on. One was the treasurer collector. I had a question on the tax title expense, and I met with Karen Summit, and she explained those items to me, and also I don't have any other questions on the treasurer collector budget.
I'll make a
Okay.
motion that we accept the treasurer collector's budget.
Okay, have a motion.
I'll
Have a second.
that.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right. And then the other one was the library department.
I can give you an update.
Okay,
We had a question, there was a question on the expenses related to the new equipment to self-check. That was a capital request from the 2013 budget. After it was approved, there was a process of researching which product to go with, and then it had to go out for bid. So that was completed this past year, and it actually just went online this past Monday. So currently, there's a 3-month free trial period, and then a 1-year warranty period, free warranty period. So there is an $850 annual maintenance contract. It is an annual fee, so even though only 1 month of it would be used in fiscal year 15, it has to be in the budget in order to be there to make that payment.
right,
Okay.
okay.
And I asked, and I don't know if anyone actually wondered, but I just asked if there would be any cost savings associated with the self-checkout, and the only, wages or anything like that. But the thought is that it would be predominantly used when the library was very busy, and that if staff weren't checking out, they'd be restocking the shelves and putting material back in circulation. So it's just more of an efficient process for the library.
Okay. And Amy is comfortable with the utilities remaining the same? Okay. I don't have any other concerns or so. Anybody else? Okay, have a motion to accept the library budget.
I'll make the motion, we accept the library budget.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. And we get on to I think the first and the items is which one do you
I
have?
have finance committee,
That's what I have next.
Finance committee?
town accountant information.
All right, well, let's go by what you have. Let's do finance committee.
I'll make a motion that we accept the finance committee budget.
No discussion?
Pretty
Okay.
lean and mean.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Any question of reserves? No?
As far as what?
Well, no, I don't know, just for my own purpose, I just want to know why there wasn't any reserves and do you know that?
Those are actuals, not appropriated.
Oh, they're
Transferred
actual.
out at the end of the year to the,
Oh, so
Snow
we
and
just,
snow and ice.
Right.
I see, okay.
But probably, going forward, 50,000 is very small when you're looking at a $14 million budget, and if there is an emergency, significant, Dave could probably back me up on it, 50,000 isn't gonna cover it. We're gonna be here next week asking for a transfer to the town hall, expense budget and the veterans, but, the 50,000 in the reserve fund, Dave, I think maybe we need to look at increasing that commensurately to the amount that we have, so $14 million budget. So, probably in the next year or two.
I'm sorry, I
The
missed.
reserve fund, 50,000. I think in the future, next fiscal year, in fiscal 16, we should look at raising the 50,000. We have a $14 million budget.
Yeah,
If there's an emergency someplace, this is,
When I've had discussions with Debbie, we're talking about raising it to 100,000. I don't know whether we can do that, it depends on what money's available, but it's just, it's been 50,000 for ever, and it's like the snow budget was 40,000, and 100,000 doesn't really cover us if there's a real emergency, but at least it would get us over the hump, and if you needed more, we have to go to town meeting or something, but it's another one of those areas where we just have to get into the modern world here a little bit, and, most years we don't use it, but if the boiler, one of the examples in the selectmen's budget, we put $1,000 in the selectmen's budget for the Pine Grove School, because if the boiler, let's say, explodes over there, we got no line item to go to add money from the reserve fund to pay for a new boiler. It is, or the town hall, it could be the town hall boiler, or any of these kinds of situations that last year we had to get a police cruiser out of it, and we basically stripped the reserve fund. So, like I say, next year we're going to be looking to. I anticipate 100,000, but it's hard to say at this point. But it's just it's something we need to do, and we need to be prepared for these things. And as the buildings and the infrastructure gets older and older, we're putting ourselves in jeopardy if we're not prepared to fix some of these things or handle some of these things in an emergency. And that's what your fund, the reserve fund, is for, is to help us in an emergency if we need it.
Okay, what do you have?
so this, we're up to.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Okay.
What are we on next?
Did we?
Town
I don't
accountants.
remember voting.
Well, I know we did first and second, and I wasn't sure if we actually got to the voting, but if we did, we did.
Debbie, did we actually vote?
I have, actually, no.
That's what I thought.
It was a second, and
Yeah.
I didn't get
And I
the
thought you
calls.
were.
Let's
Yeah.
get the-
Oh, okay. Do we want to vote on it?
Yes.
Okay. Aye.
Aye.
All right. Town accountant. What's next?
There's not much going on there either.
Yeah, it's basically all just wages.
Yeah,
Right.
why is there a 7.2% increase?
Was budgeted a higher wage rate than last year.
Oh, okay.
Per the ASME, that was a contract agreement.
Okay, just my
Yeah.
question. I'll make a motion, we accept the town accountant.
Okay, have a motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, I guess we'll vote on this one too. All in favor? Aye. Okay. What's next on here is information. I don't know why I screwed mine up, but. Okay.
And this one here, just as an introductory statement for it, informational services, that whole budget is handled by two people, Karen Summit, the treasurer, and Sue Bailey, correct?
Yes, under the direction of the Board of Selectmen.
Under the direction of the Board of Selectmen, and they've done this for free for going to way back when. And it's time that we put a stipend, so that's, the increase in expenses is obviously just increasing costs to handle the stuff, and then there's IS coordinator stipend, which is new, of $1,000 apiece, just to give them a little reward for the time and effort they put in. And obviously, as most of us know, computers and computerization, I think we got $40-something thousand in the capital expense request we're putting in for computers and programming and software. It's become a huge thing, and they're saving us a lot of money, because if we had to hire this out, we'd pay a lot more than $2,000, so that's what that.
And it says down here you're going to give it quarterly, right?
Right, we're gonna pay it
Exactly.
quarterly.
Right.
The idea being, if someone leaves, they don't get the whole 2,000,
Which
which we've
happened
had in the
last
past
year.
with other positions. Someone leaves halfway through the year, they've already been paid the full stipend, and then the next person in is waiting to see whiz, what am I gonna get? So it's on a quarterly basis, which is pretty much the policy we've established in these kinds of
Good idea.
stipends.
Make a motion?
All right, have a motion? Have a second?
One second.
Have a second, all in favor? Aye.
Selectmen.
Selectmen's.
Couple of changes there that we could probably be better off. The wages are in line with the increases, but the expenses are some reductions.
Well, with the FinCom's probably familiar with this. When we have a town meeting, we transfer money from an existing, we find money within the budget, and we appropriate it at town meeting and transfer it to the selectmen's expense budget so we can pay for the printing and mailing. So the lines go superficially high based on the number of town meetings. So if there are 2 town meetings in one fiscal year, you'll see it go up. Fiscal 14, it's been appropriated to 18 because we had a fall town meeting. But the base of it's 14,117. So that's a level funded number in the expense line.
The subtotal of expense is 41,837. That does not include the Pine Grove or the stormwater compliancy?
Should.
It doesn't.
Oh, it's probably because Excel spreadsheet didn't carry it over, so it should.
Okay, so the
These will be
total
new
should
line items in the budget. So expenses, you'll see all the way down to Pine Grove School property. That will be a new line item in the omnibus budget.
Okay, so the total then would be 230,198.
And once again, the reason why we put $1,000 in each one of those is not earmarked at this point to be specifically spent, although I'm sure along the way it's gonna be, but it gives us a line item so that if the EPA comes down and says, hey, you gotta fix this over here for stormwater management, we can transfer money into that. And those, Pine Grove School's the same thing, we got a line that we can transfer funds to if we have an emergency. And eventually, those probably gonna grow anyway out of necessity, but at least it establishes the principal lines to start off with, and then each year we'll look at those and see what we need to do with them, so. Just a place to, they're like placeholders at this point.
Okay, any other questions on the selectmen's budget? We have a motion to accept it?
I'll make the motion to accept the supplemental
You have a
grant.
motion, I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
I'll abstain.
Okay. Town clerk.
You got the town
Any
clerk.
questions on the town clerk?
Town clerk really reflects how many elections in a year. So this year, we're gonna have a primary in September, state election in November, and then the annual election, town election in May. So like next year, there won't be a primary so that the expenses and stuff go up and down, the wages and things like that. It's all reflected off of how many elections she has and how much information.
Elections are a separate line.
I'm sorry, I'm
That's
talking
the
out of
stuff.
the top of my head here.
Make a motion that we accept the town clerk's.
Okay, have a motion. Have a second.
I'll second.
Have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Next is register of voters. That's a lonely job. They have to sit outside of the town meeting.
Yeah, that's basically just the wages.
And they work, actually, when the nomination papers,
They
they
run
usually,
it,
it is
yeah.
lonely, they're here all by themselves.
So, that's why I say it's a
Friday
little-
afternoon.
Well, that's
Till 5 o'clock.
also just the census forms, the mailing of the census forms. They're also out there
Yeah, maintaining the voter
maintaining,
registration.
yeah, right.
So they really work under the direction of the town clerk.
Okay. Any questions on registrar? Have a motion to accept the budget.
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion. I have a second.
I'll second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Elections.
Yeah, what I just said about elections.
It goes for this as well, right?
Gotcha.
What
Okay.
really is this budget?
Okay, any questions on it? I have a motion to accept the elections.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye. Constable.
It's stapled to
It
the
is
one that you just
stapled.
went.
Yeah. I gotta look at what mine is. Okay, any questions on constable? Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the constable budget?
Make that motion. I'll second.
All right, have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Planning board.
I have planning board, is that what you have?
Yes.
Okay, any questions on the planning board?
Nope.
Can I have a motion to accept the planning board budget?
I'll make the motion on the planning board.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Town hall.
The percentage on the expense says it went down 14%. Looks like it increased.
Yeah, it
That's,
didn't.
the formula carried over when I inserted it in fiscal. I apologize. It's not correct.
Now, you
So
have
it's a
here
25% increase?
town hall, and then on Form 2 is the town hall annex.
They're together.
The janitor
Well-
works in both buildings, that's why.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, why do you have it listed as the town hall annex? And then we also have an annex budget, don't we?
That
just the
was just the
janitor.
building expenses,
Hmm.
but the janitor, that's the way we've always split it. We can consolidate it in the future. We segregate the expenses between the two buildings, so costs are applied separately even for janitorial supplies, even though we buy them in bulk and divide it in half.
It's 100% increase on light bulbs. I know they're more expensive now.
They sure are.
Yeah.
Well, you almost can't buy incandescent anymore.
Right.
Yeah, we went from $50 to $100.
Yeah.
Right.
100% sounds cute, but $50 is...
That's why I said 100%. I just have a very vivid memory of many, many, many years ago, a highway department having tremendous
Please, let's
amount
not go
of...
back there.
Yeah.
I remember that too.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions on the town hall?
No, I just, maybe I'm not seeing this right. Okay. Why does it say FY hourly salary on Form 2 and then it says on the top fiscal year 2015?
It should say fiscal 15, I apologize, I'm doing so many of these sheets. It's fiscal 15,
Oh, okay.
it is a 15, it's just the header on that.
It's carryover from last year.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
The computer doesn't always write what you want it to.
Well, it's not, it's just using the same form and trying to do it quickly.
My eyes glaze over when I'm going up to number 50 of these or whatever.
Yeah.
I apologize, but yes, it's fiscal
Okay.
15. This is bargaining unit position.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the, I lost track now.
Town hall.
I thought we just did that. I
We
guess
didn't
not.
vote.
Nope, we
Haven't done
didn't.
anything.
All right. Can I have a motion then?
I'll make the motion on the town
Talk
hall.
about being glazed over.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye. Now we can go to the annex.
Okay, now the annex.
This one, the light bulbs went down 50%.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that.
They took them from,
Still on there, or whatever. Most of these kind of things, they just reflect increase in costs. I mean, it's just getting so expensive between heating oils and over there it's gas now, but electric is going up, water's going up, I mean, it's just,
I'll make a motion, we accept the annex budget.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. The Harbor Master?
Harbor Master is just the increase in wages. I think everything else is level funded.
Okay, that's one of our new packets.
In my copy of the Harbor Master, the last page is stapled, is actually the debt,
Oh, I apologize.
in case it, just so it's
Okay.
pulled apart.
Yeah.
I don't know, you make a lot of mistakes.
It's a lot of coffee.
One that we just got today.
And it's very, nothing alarming.
Straightforward.
So, if we
Right, I don't have any questions on it.
make a motion, we accept the harbor master.
Before we do that, anyone need more time to review it? No? Okay, I'll take your motion then to accept the harbor master budget.
And I'll second that.
And seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
The harbor master, this page was stapled in for this.
Oh, okay, well, I got my debt separately. Thank you.
On the debt, what it's reflecting is if you look at the bottom three lines, capital equipment interest 4, highway truck interest and ladder truck interest, and they're asterisked. That's assuming that the town meeting and the election for the ladder passes. If in fact those articles don't pass, then ultimately it'll be eliminated from the budget. But this, to give you anticipated, we won't know till town meeting, so the rest of that comes from the treasurer's office, I guess, which
Yeah, this was
treasurer
just
makes the whole thing
revised
out,
this week.
and
yeah.
she gives us the estimation for the capital on the capital budget, 4,280, the highway truck interest 2,250, and the ladder truck interest is 9,188 based on passage of those articles and the override for the ladder truck.
Okay, any questions on debt? Like we could do anything about it. I have a motion to accept the debt.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, I have
Thanks,
a
Larry, you're a
motion.
good guy after.
I'll second.
No. Not I personally. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Let's put it on my tax bill. All right. Animal inspector.
The animal inspector is basically just the wage increase that was given. Expenses are level funded.
You found it yet?
No, I found it, but, okay. I'm just making sure that your copy and my copy are the same. Because I looked at that and it said animal, the Form 2 is for fiscal year 2011, but, okay. That's all right. Yep, all right, I'm on board. Okay, I don't have any questions. Anybody, any questions?
No.
Nope. Okay, have a motion to accept animal inspector.
I'll make the motion to approve animal inspector.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Animal control officer?
Yeah, same thing there, just the wage increase and the expenses are level funded.
Is that the same person or someone different?
Same person. That's another bargain. One of those things that,
Yeah.
we'll lose the current animal inspector, I don't know what we're gonna do.
Not a lot of people walking around interested in being animal control officer and mitigating dog disputes and picking up roadkill.
Dog feces complaints now. This
Yes.
seems to be taking off. But, yeah, that's a bargain.
Okay, to have a motion to accept animal control officer.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Cemetery we covered.
Four and 3/4 hours a week for recycling. Huh?
You know, it's like
Same thing with recycling.
3 hours down at the, 9 to
Yeah.
12 on Saturday.
Yeah. Make a motion for recycling.
You have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, all in favor?
I'll make a motion for hydrants, we need them.
Yeah, on that one, just there's a note on there that the water department has not yet set their budget. So we're just level funding that at this point. They may increase it. But if they do, then we'll just have to amend the okay. But we're encouraging them to maintain the same price for hydrants.
Okay. Any other questions on hydrants? I have a motion to accept the hydrant budget.
Yeah, I made the motion.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I'll second.
I'm not with it yet.
I'll
Okay,
second.
second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Streetlights?
That reflects a decrease due to LED lights replacing the regular light bulbs in the street lights. And on top of that, for the past few years, the light department has actually forgiven that bill
Yeah.
and pay as a pilot payment in lieu of taxes, and that money ends up ultimately going into free cash, if assuming they forgive it again for next year.
That's a substantial decrease, 16%.
Yeah, it's LED lights make a huge
Right.
difference. I think they cost them something more to purchase, but in the
Right.
end, the
Yeah,
operating costs
significantly more.
are way down.
With the new lights that are going all around the common, that's nice that it's still decreasing.
Yeah, and we're also talking, the town buildings here, we got some money available, we're gonna start changing over this building and hopefully the annex in the next year or two, so. Makes a difference.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we accept the streetlights.
Okay, have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Health is next.
Health, the Council on Aging.
Council.
Oh, okay. I was wondering when it was coming up. All right.
In the Council on Aging budget, there's an increase in the wages for the administrative assistant from 20 to 25 hours a week. About 10 years ago, when the person who held that position took it, they didn't want to work on Fridays, and they agreed to reduce it from 25 to 20 hours per week. That person just recently retired, the new person was hired. And with the amount of activity going on over there, and the usage by the elderly in town has really increased over the last 2 or 3, 4 years. So they're requesting that be brought back up to 25 hours per week, so that the position is there Monday through Friday for 5 hours each day, basically.
Okay, any other questions from council?
Was there any backup to the expense or?
They didn't give any this year, but I did look at, if you're interested, it's the same as last year's, and that's last year's.
Yeah, that's
So
level
the-
funded from FY14.
So gas is still level funded?
Yeah, they're making,
Right.
apparently they're making it from,
Take it from somewhere else? Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions on the council? You have a motion to accept the council budget.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Parks and Recs.
We look at the Board of Health Department.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
we're on
major,
health?
We're on-
I'm sorry.
the major change in the Health Department is on the public health nurse stipend. Mary Ellen Mile is the public health nurse, and she's been working for years for $1,000, which is another one of those huge bargains for the town. The board, she did not request an increase, but the Board of Selectmen and the town administrator really recommended we raise that to 2,000, just to kind of, it's still a bag at 2,000. I mean, she gives the flu shot, she does everything related to rabies, and, I mean, she does.
Yeah, if we went on the open market, we needed public health nurse to get a registered nurse, or to have one, visiting nurse, and have a contract with one of those companies. I mean, you're talking 50,000 plus. So,
And not
this
only
is-
does she run the clinic, but when the clinic's over, if you just come in and you haven't made it to the clinic, she's there to do it. And she goes like to the fire department to do the firemen.
And they
And
run
everything,
wellness
yeah.
clinics, and
Yeah.
Mary Ellen Miles happens to be a registered nurse, the director of the Council on Aging, so which gives us the
Well-
ability to have a heck of a bargain, because if she wasn't, we'd have to go out and, like
Right.
Debbie says, go out and hire a nurse, or hire someone, or a company, probably a company these days is
yeah.
what you do. Or share someone with another town or something, so that's the only real increase there, other than the regular wage increase that was.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Board of Health.
And I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Okay, Parks and Recs. Another question I have there is that last year and this year, there's no breakout of the field maintenance expenses, so
Yeah, basically what's happening here is under wages, they're budgeted for $7,792 in wages in two positions, two part-time positions. They really haven't been filled in a number of years. So in this year's budget, they're getting hit with, like everybody else, increased grass cutting, because they don't cut the grass themselves, they hire, contract out the cutting and the lining of the fields, and, maintenance of the baseball fields and the Little League fields are quite expensive. So they requested that the wages be cut in half, and that amount, 3,896, be added to the field maintenance expense to give them some extra money for, and that's somewhat similar to the cemetery in that that this field maintenance account pays for a portion of the field maintenance and the fees they collect from the Little League and the various baseball and soccer leagues and stuff like that. That goes into, they have a revolving account also. So between this line here for field maintenance and the revolving account is how they pay to cut the grass and line the fields and do whatever else they need to do to maintain those fields.
do you say that the wages, that position, or the two part-time positions isn't filled?
Right. It hasn't been filled we used to have 20 hours a week?
Many years ago.
Many years ago, we had a 20-hour week.
They used to run the
John
summer
Pratt.
program at Pine Grove.
Right, they ran the Park and Rec
We had
program, and then when that
budget
person
prices.
retired,
We cut the budgets.
we cut the budgets, and they never, it's, once again, this is one of those things we're currently over at the Brad Street Farm property. We're in the midst of, will be in the midst, and very shortly, of starting to construct a new baseball field over there. So this is another one of those budgets where in the next year, we've got to take a hard look, because Tim Southall, who's on the rec committee now, handles for free all the coordination of the contractors, making sure the grass gets cut, the fields are taken care of, and so on and so forth. And he's been working directly with the Board of Selectmen on, designing and putting together the field over at Brad Street Farm. So with that coming online, we're gonna need to look at actually going back and probably hiring a person. There's a little bit of money here to hire someone part-time, but it's so few hours that it's hard to get. It's a position that we don't need a lot of hours, but there's so few hours that it's hard to get somebody that's willing to do it. But as the number of fields increases and the workload's gonna be increasing here, we'll probably be looking to increase the number of hours and therefore be able to hire someone to coordinate all that stuff, because if it's another one of those situations where if Tim were to resign or not be reappointed to the Recreation Committee, there's no one available that can do what he's doing. We really need to look at it ahead and hire and being able to hire someone to handle all that stuff. It's another bargain that we have that, thank goodness we got it, but you know, these kinds of things, it's time for the town to start looking at assuming some of these expenses for this stuff. And recreation is huge. The numbers of kids that are involved in these programs is huge, and plus we're going to have, hopefully, a Girl Scout property will be passed at town meeting, and that's going to be a lot of available recreation space and stuff, so that things are, recreational-wise, are going to be expanding big time, probably in the next few years. So that's one of those we're going to take a look at in the next year and see.
Does the town charge any fees for the use of the fields or anything like that?
Yes, the Recreation Committee has a fee set up that's approved by the Board of Selectmen, so that the various leagues pay. It's quite a bit of money. I mean, they I don't know off the top of my head what it is, but if you look at the revolving accounts, they bring in $25,000 a year in fees. And I might be incorrect on the exact number there, but yeah, they collect a lot of fees, and that helps maintain the fields along with this field maintenance expense account here. So it's all administered for zero at this point, zero in wages. So
Right.
that's the kind of thing that we really are going to have to start looking at. It's a business. We're literally running a business out there in terms of the recreation fields for a lot of outside groups. The baseball, Legion Baseball out of Newburyport, things like that actually lease our fields and play ball there. So, along with our Little League and soccer and those things that the local program. So it's a happening place, and it's only going to keep growing. If you go out there on a Saturday or a night and you see the numbers of kids out there, it's just incredible.
Have you thought about more sponsorships and stuff like that?
Yeah, we haven't. I don't know what in the future. If we are able to hire someone, I think someone can spend some time looking at some of those issues. Right now, we're just trying to keep the fields maintained in a condition that people are willing to rent them and collect the fees. But yeah, that's something we could look at in the future. We haven't to this point, just because there's nobody to do it. And unless we want to hire somebody, like I say, Tim's doing everything he's doing for nothing. We're not looking to add any more burden to him at this point, but it's something that needs to be looked at, I'm sure.
Okay. Any other questions? Can I have a motion to accept the Park and Rec budget?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Historic Commission and Historic District.
Yeah. This is gonna be a lengthy one. Okay.
I make a motion that we accept it.
Okay, have a motion.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
And insurance is something we have no choice, so I will make,
To let Debbie kind of explain the details to you. I think she's more familiar with it. She deals with it all the time. Obviously, there's increases, and it's another one of those that is never going to decrease, I'm sure.
Fixed costs really out of our hand.
I think the unemployment we've raised just to cover ourselves.
Yeah, actually, the 12,000 is a consistent number. We transferred money
Okay.
out to cover the fall town meeting, I believe. That's why that was showing as 8,000. We do want to increase the blanket insurance. That's the property casualty, general liability, law enforcement liability, police and fire accident, workers' comp. We do see a potential increase in the workers' comp premium and marginal increases in the property casualty. We also use that line for deductibles and things like that. for claims. We usually are able to offset any increases through a number of options available through the town's insurance carrier, Maya. And that can be from prompt payment discounts to dividends, because Maya is, it's a private nonprofit organization. And in insurance seminars that they give, and, you know, when we have the highway department and, you know, go to a trench workshop or things like that, we get points and we're able to offset future costs.
I'll make a motion to accept the insurance.
Okay, have a second?
I'll second.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
That's the end of the list I have. Do you have others?
Omnibus, yeah.
Should be it. Okay.
I have 2 copies of the report of Finance Committee Omnibus Distribution from fiscal '09 to '14.
Yeah, this goes in the town report. This is just those forms every year that, you know, Jack always had, he put them in the town report to show
Does everyone else have this?
expenses, and there's a circle pie chart on the second page just to indicate where the money's going and the percentages, and kind of give an overview of how things are changing from fiscal year to fiscal year, so that the people have concerns about, you know, which departments are increasing, what, you know.
Peter, do you need a copy?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, oh, yeah. So I guess you just look at the, okay, that to be included in the town report.
It's actually already had to go
No,
and.
it's already in the town report, I guess.
We had to send it yesterday, we couldn't wait.
Great.
But you have in there every year, I told Larry, we didn't have a meeting last week, but that's the standard.
Reject it?
Too late. Selectmen got one up on you.
Okay. I just haven't found it yet.
It's a lot of paper here tonight.
Okay, so we don't have to do anything on this except defend it, right?
It's one of those, it is what it is.
Yep.
Yeah. Pie charts weren't my favorite, but anyway. Okay, we're down to item 7. We have opening for member on the finance committee. If anyone out there, you don't have to have a degree in finance or a degree at all, just a willingness to help your community. So if you're interested, please contact the selectman or Joan Peterson or myself, anybody. But we would appreciate your help. Next meeting date.
April 1st? Is that what it is? April 1st?
Is that the next
Yeah.
Tuesday?
April Fools.
Why not? What's the
It's a good night for a meeting.
Yeah.
police department review? And April Fool, okay. 7:15, is that
That's perfect.
good for everybody?
It is.
Okay.
And Larry, could we look also, while everybody's got their calendars out, for the following week, because then the week after that,
April
the week
8th.
of April 7th, and now that's the last week to finish up everything, so
You want to
next,
schedule it for April 8th as well,
Yeah,
another
so-
meeting?
if we can plan on that, and maybe if you need another meeting on the 9th, which is, it would be a Tuesday and Wednesday. If you, I just don't know if you're gonna have a lot of questions. You still have the water budget, that, we'll have that in for you next week, that appointment, and I know that takes some time. And then warrant articles.
I was gonna say articles, yeah.
We're compiling all that together. If we don't finish everything at the April 8th meeting, it'd be nice to have the 9th that evening, and the selectmen will probably have a special meeting on the morning of, that's Thursday, April 10th, and actually sign the warrant, because we have to get that out to the copy center.
What about the special town meeting?
Yeah, all the warrant articles will be,
But both,
yeah, you'll go through all those together. So I was just thinking if you can think about next Tuesday, the 1st, then the 8th, and then maybe if we have to,
the ninth.
I would post it just in case if you didn't finish. It depends on how, what you,
How
if
late
you're close
you
to
wanna
it, I
stay.
can, I
Is
just,
8th and 9th acceptable to everybody?
I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to make either one of those meetings. I'm gonna be away. I will, if I'm here, I'll come, but
Okay.
it'll be
Anybody
up to the rest
else?
of you to make the quorum.
Okay,
Might not have a quorum then.
You have a quorum with 4.
right,
Oh, with 4 now?
right.
Puts a lot of pressure on
Don't
you all, I'm
anybody,
sorry.
don't anybody get sick Okay, well, that concludes everything, I think. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second it.
Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Good night, everyone.